Good morning, everybody. My name is Andar. Welcome to Razorlight Entertainment presents Andar Plays Path of Exile Heist League Planning. So, everybody knows that, well, you would know by now if you keeping tabs on the news that the Heist League is launching in 1.5 days, if I remember correctly. And it's gonna be very, very interesting because the Heist League brings more of the thief-style mechanic to the game where you're planning robberies, you're avoiding guards, and you're making sure that no matter what happens, you get out with the goods. So, standing around and whacking enemies repeatedly in the Heist League may not be the best way to go, you know? That's just not how the Heist League is constructed. Now, that being said, what we're going to do today is we're going to play around. We're going to start with a little bit of delving, just enjoy Path of Exile a little bit, and then we're going into some full-on league building. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do some builds. We're going to see if we can arrive at a pretty, a few good solutions that everybody can try out. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and enjoy the game just a little bit before we get into the technicalities of all. Another reason to do this is to showcase my Shockwave Pain of Flames build that was just so successful in Harvest League. We were able to pretty much coast through a lot of the content. Regrettably, we didn't actually play the game all that much during the time. I mean, we were busy playing other games. We were streaming various titles on our channel, and we didn't completely dedicate ourselves to a Path of Exile experience. But that being said, even after the Harvest League was over, we continued leveling the build, and as you guys can see over here, it is level 89, and trust me, the experience has been very smooth. Hardly any hiccups at all. When we encountered a boss with incredible DPS that we found difficult to handle, we just asked for a little bit of help, and the world chat was, more than willing to come in and help us out. So, yeah, kudos to them. A big thank you to everybody who did help us out. We do appreciate it. Oh, by the way, I don't know if many people do this, but you can apparently use dynamite in the league over here. In Delve. You can use dynamite, and it does do a bit of damage to the monsters. Mind you, dynamite is not exactly the cheapest thing in the world to create. That being said, it's an interesting option because I personally have had very little use for fractured walls and stuff in Delve. I'm not in 3 leagues found a single fractured wall. That's how bad I am at it. I haven't put too much time into it, but then again, I really have very little interest in scrounging around the darkened depths of Delve in search of a wall. It's just not how I see myself enjoying the game. Hey wall, hey fractured wall, where are you today? No, I just don't see that happening. Now let's keep doing this. Right, let's just pick some of these things up. Of course, none of this really matters. The league is over. All these items will, of course, only be available in standard after it is done, right? I mean, that's about the end of it. Okay, so here we are. Can we do one more before we move on? No. So let's get back to the mine. Voltaxic generator. We got some of this. Let's fill up on dynamite and all of that again, and after that we'll go back to the hideout and start talking about builds. So, the first build, of course, that I'm going to talk about here today with all of you is this build, the Shockwave Pain of Flames build with 532 strength, dexterity, and intelligence. The main attack being Consecrated Path, which is great to attack and move at the same time. The build, of course, is available on the Marauder subforums of pathofexile.com. You guys can go take a look at it over there. We use conversion of physical damage to fire and get 100% physical damages extra. We also use fire damage over time multiplier, 25% chance to ignite, and also penetrate fire damage resistance. You can add to that on your skill anyway. 10% of our damage is taken as fire. We have more fire resistance. We are not affected by ignite, although the visual effect, I believe, still applies. Yeah, so most of the nodes that we took over here are based on armor. You can actually see if I go ahead and search for this. A lot of the nodes that we have taken have boosted our armor, and also we have taken a lot of shield nodes. Pretty much all the shield nodes available in the vicinity of our build, we have taken it, and that has really helped us out quite a bit, because in terms of defense we have a block chance of 63%, which blocking attack damage. If we had gone down any other route, I mean, this sort of attack damage combined, blocking attack damage combined with armor, which is about 22,000 without buffs, 65% damage reduction. All of this would not have come together without this particular build sequence. We have also used a lot of war cries. You can actually see them here: Infernal Cry, Intimidating Cry, Enduring Cry, Ancestral Cry, all of this to buff our build going in. You can also see the equipment that we have, mostly yellows. We don't have too many uniques over here. It's just a lot of yellows that we got. We haven't spent much money on the build. It's just that. Maybe 1.5 Exalted Orbs, and that's easy as you keep grinding. You have the boots. And this is a heavy belt that we added afterwards. We decided to take this because of the strength, maximum life, and increased physical damage. But this was really a late game addition. We ran with the standard strength buff build for most of the 85 odd levels. It's only for the last 3 levels that we decided to get Belt of the Deceiver. You don't have to get it, of course. This mace is a complete random mace. I mean, we don't even do critical hit damage. You can actually see that here. We just do not do any critical hit damage whatsoever. That's why the DPS of this build is not all that great. There's just a random mace that we got for the physical damage. If you don't want to use maces, you could also go down the Path of Axes, also the Path of Swords. I mean, both ways would have been perfectly fine. You have several axe nodes all over this place that you could have taken for that particular purpose, with pretty good uniques as well, Impale added to it. So there's a lot of variety that you can work into this, similar to swords. We have those here. You could cause bleeding ailments along with it. So there are lots of options that are available for those who wish to customize this build, but essentially the idea being that it is very heavy on defense, 3.5k life. The energy shield is just an afterthought. Fire resistance uncapped is 271%. Everything else is pretty much high. Chaos resistance reduced after we changed our belts, really, but that it was okay. I mean, the build did great. We've reached level 89 going 90, so it's perfectly fine. Nothing else in terms of life leech and all that. It's pretty decent. Nothing great. Most of our life comes from Infernal Cries and the flasks that we have. We did start using the Granite Flask for knockback damage, additional melee physical damage with armor. We're using Sulfur Flask of Heat, Consecrated Damage, Consecrated Ground, 40% increased damage, as well as immunity to freeze. And then you have just a random Hybrid Flask. Same thing with Remove Bleeding and Remove Shock flasks. This could be changed to remove curses, immunity to curses if you like as well. So that is essentially the first build that we like to share with you guys here. It is a very defense heavy, low DPS, very high survivability build. One thing I've said while we're rocking auras, we have Herald of Ash, Blood and Sand, as well as Herald of Purity, 25% mana reserves on each of these. So this has been changed in Heist League quite a bit. As far as we saw, a lot of the auras now have fixed mana reservation. It's not a percentage. It's a flat mana reservation. So you would potentially be able to rock many more auras than before if you have a high enough mana pool, and that's easy enough to get with a Hierophant. Any of the Templar classes, they have incredibly high mana. You could even go Witch and go Minions, for example, and go crazy with that. So many different options for survivability that you can essentially look at. Another key to this build's success was Vengeance, as well as Reckoning. We do wish we had high enough dexterity that we could have rocked the other one as well, Riposte, but we don't, and this is basically what we have. Vengeance and Reckoning both have Curse on support. I would ideally have liked to set up 2 different instances of them to buff up the skills, but we really don't have the slots to, you know, carry up all of those things. We'd have to give up our heralds in order to pull that off. It really wasn't necessary as far as the grind is concerned. The game just continues. You grind, you grind, you grind, you grind, and that's about the end of it. So it's not like it would have made a very big amount of difference, right? And of course the shield for cosmetic purposes as well as the elemental ages. It's a great shield, has armor evasion rating, energy shield. That's why we have these 500 shield points over here. Otherwise we would not have that either. You could use the shield pretty much in any circumstance, I think, with any kind of build. Yeah, so there you go. This is our... Oh, we also have Molten Shell for guard, obviously. So this is our Shockwave, the Thane of Flames build. You guys can check this out on the forums. It's there under the Marauder subsection builds. You can go there and just check it out with our name, Razorlight Entertainment or Windows Andar, either way it goes out. You can just check it out over there, either way it'll come up. And have fun. Have fun playing it. It is very nice, it's very survivable, gives you a lot of confidence even with low tier items. You can get some amazing stuff with your Exalted Orbs if you're lucky enough to get a few. I think everybody should be able to get 3 or 4 Exalted Orbs with efficient running through high tier maps especially. So don't worry about it, you'll be able to afford these quite easily. The game has changed a lot over the last few leagues compared to 5 or 6 leagues ago. It is a lot easier to create a decent build. It's a lot easier to get into monster killing, monster destruction, so that is quite a thing. Now, before we move on to the next build, some shameless plugging. If you like what we do, guys, if you like our videos, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon page, visit our website, rle.ninja. Tip over there, international cards are excellent. So you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and do subscribe to our videos and like them. We always appreciate your support, without which we would not be able to do this. Now, that being said, let's go straight into window capture mode and take a look at the build that we are planning now. It is, as you can see, I hope you're able to see this window as well as we can. Let me just switch over to full screen. Yeah, that should be a lot better for all of you. And I'll just take a sip of my coffee. Get some, there's going to be a lot of talking. I love filter coffee. Gotta love the taste of coffee, man. It is absolutely amazing. Yeah, just to enjoy some coffee. It's amazing. It's awesome. Okay, so let's go right ahead and you know, discuss this particular build. It is a duelist, which means we start from the southern face of the tree over here. I have not run across the tree in search of nodes. That's not the point of the build. You can of course customize it as you deem fit. One of the things you will see is that we have taken a lot of dexterity, and one of the nodes that we have taken the most is attack speed throughout this particular tree. We have not taken the ones that are not specific to our particular build. We're not using one-handed access anyway. But there are certain nodes that you could further pick up. There are ways to improve it even more with claw skills. We're not taking any of that. We have taken the straightforward... we've taken the nodes that are easily available, the straightforward nodes. Also piled on a little bit of Fortify. Yeah, this also grants you 20% less damage reduction. You could actually remove these 4 nodes. In fact, if you remove these 4 nodes, you would get about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skill points back, and you could take up some extra claw skills and things that you would much rather prefer compared to this. I leave that choice to you guys. You can basically go hard on claws and get ailment boosts. That would also be perfectly fine, considering the whole point of this build is ailment damage. You can do this. Nothing wrong in it. It would also work. It's just that, you know, this is the way that I went. You could totally take this tree and boost your damage all the way through. You could get even more attack speed over here. But that's something that we'll discuss. Combinations and permutations, we'll discuss that later on. Okay, so the point of this build, it is a gladiator ascendancy using the Craiglin bandit nodes, or the Craiglin bandit buffs. That gives us attack speed, dodge attacks, and movement speed. You can actually change this right over if you feel like it to get the extra global critical strike multiplier. You can just go right ahead and you know, change this over to Alira as well if you like. That is a choice that I leave to you guys. I just chose that over there. Now that I think about it, if I had chosen Alira, I would be able to cap off my resistances as well. The choice is entirely yours in that particular order. Now the point of this build is to max out block, which we are doing via our Ascendancy of Gladiator. One of the things that happens over here, let me just disable the skill highlights. We have taken chance to block attack damage while dual wielding, increase attack speed. More block damage, cannot be stunned. By hits you block, counter attack deals more. Yes, once again, counter attacks are becoming a mainstay of the build, because we are going to be doing a lot of claw hits, you know, dual wielding with claws. We're going to be leeching life. The ability to block the odd powerful attack or 2 becomes vital as far as we're concerned, because without it we would not be able to progress. Then you have this, more block, more attack speed, and of course this is a vital node, the versatile combatant. It allows our block spell damage to be equal to block attack damage, both minimum, both actual and maximum values. What this means is we don't have to get any equipment that allows us to block spell damage specifically. You can focus on getting dodge equipment or whatever you feel is necessary to make the build tankier, buffier, etc., but there's no need to focus on getting spell damage mitigation, because the block damage will block attack damage will automatically extend to block spell damage. So this should be easily attainable with the first 2 Transcendency Ascendancy trials. You can then also go for more block damage and even more block damage with increased physical damage to boot. This would actually be very good. And then finally we can cap it off with the ultimate Transcendency trial by going for this. Yeah, here we go. So a 25% chance to gain a challenger charge when you hit a rare or unique enemy in Blood stance. Yeah, I mean, it's just that. It's a buff. Right, go right ahead, get more attack speed for challenger charge, etc., etc. It's not something that you're going to rely completely on, but it is available there as a buff. It's a thing that you take. You can also go down this route, cause bleeding and maiming and chance to blind. You can do all of that. The choice is, of course, entirely yours. But one thing, once you do get blood in the eyes, if this is the way, this is the, you know, ascendancy routes that you're going to follow, in that case you may want to take out the nodes in the tree, in the passive skill tree, that are all about getting increased blind chance against enemies. That is something that we can take, and we can actually get rid of that. You can get bleeding chance as well. You get exploding damage and a whole bunch. There is a little bit of flexibility here. You can just forego these 2 and go down this route and get bleeding. The choice, not the choice, there goes my English. The choice is entirely yours. You can do that, no problem, right? I would skip Outmatch and Outlast. I mean, I don't see the point of this in this build, unless you're going pure frenzy, pure endurance charge. Again, I just don't see the point. You can skip that. Right, so that's our gladiator ascendancy skills that we're going to be using. Those are gladiator skills. Now let's take a look at the skill node. With the stats and equipment, what we have is 671 dexterity, 159 strength, 90 intelligence, which should be more than enough, 21,442 evasion. I've not added any flasks, effects, stacks, nothing of the sort over there. I've not allotted any flasks for this build so far, but mostly it'll be evasion and elemental resistance to cap off chaos, and as well as, you know, fire resistance, cold resistance, lightning resistance. Just for that purpose, you'll be carrying flasks. But how you do it is again entirely up to you in that sense. There is no armor, no evasion, no energy shield. That's not the point of this build, right? The point of this build, if I was to show you in just a moment, is 34% chance to block attack damage while dual wielding. Also added to it is an 18%, so that's 52% chance to block attack damage right there. If you were damaged by a hit, you get 8% more, that's 60, but let's just stick to 52. Then you have another plus 4% chance to maximum chance to block attack damage, so that's 56. You will get that through the ascendancy build, and plus 1 chance to block attack damage for each time, so this will maybe boost it up to 4 or 5 times maybe, depending on how many times you have been hit. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. We got about 50 to 60% block attack chance, and it's the same thing for spells, block spell chance. So in maps, if you're worried about actually the number of times that you're actually going to block, don't be so worried about it, simply because in the maps you're going to have so many enemies who will be piling on top of you, who are going to be, you know, punching you every step of the way, that you will be hit. You will be hammered, you will take damage, it will happen, absolutely, right? So no worries over there. We also have a little bit of dodge, that's about 3% chance, and 5% while phasing, that's about 8% chance of dodge. It's not much, but there's an option that I can show you guys. If you're willing to compromise on block slightly, you can also get the dodge chance from this tree. I have not taken it because there's a 30% less chance to block spell and attack damage. I'm not a fan of that. Not on a build where the whole idea is to get maximum attack damage as possible. That's the point, so that's why I'm not taking it, right? So let's go take a look at the key stats for this build with regard to damage. One is, of course, poison. We will have a base 20% chance to poison on hits. That is absolutely more than enough, with damage over time multiplying that. Now, where is all of this going to come from? Right now I've settled on Bloodseeker Hellion's Paw as a base equipment. It's just going to stack on the physical damage and also leech, but that's not really the point. Where we're going to get maximum damage from is Pestilent Strike. That is going to be our primary skill, so let's just quickly go over here. So you can actually see Pestilent Strike is attack, melee strike, AoE duration. It also does chaos damage. So what Pestilent Strike does is you hit the enemy, and the moment that you hit the enemy, you debuff the enemy. And once the enemy is debuffed by poison, that will continuously stack as you keep wailing on the enemy. All the enemies around that particular dead enemy will also start taking chaos damage. That's basically the idea. So all the poison damage from all the poisons that have been stacked on the dying enemy per second will then spread to all the enemies around the dead enemy. That's the idea. Now, obviously, it would depend on the area of effect and whatever, but, you know, that's more than enough. And on top of this, because we're doing so many attacks, because we are going to be hitting the enemy with so many attacks, now level 20, 68 into 98 dexterity required, we have the equipment for that, no problem. What's going to happen is we're going to be hitting a lot of enemies, and the poison will then spread. As all the enemies die, it will spread to the enemies beyond them, and hopefully we would be able to get a sort of cascading effect. So that's where the two claws come in. They give us extra attack speed. They also give us leech, which is extremely important in this particular tree because that's how we're going to survive. That's why we've gone this way and taken a lot of the physical attack damage that gives us more and more leech. There's a lot of leeching going on over here. We've also taken a Wall Pact. You can disable this and go down here if you want to keep life regen. The reason I say that is Vitality Gem has been modified this particularly to give you a flat life regen. Wall Pact may not be the best way to go. Just saying, you may want to look into that. So if you look at the leech over here, 40% increased damage while leeching. Don't care about that so much. Here we go. So 3.8% of physical attack damage will be leached as life, and okay, so if the Wall Pact is not applied in this particular stat, then it would be about 6.2%. That's about that's the idea, right? All of that will be applied, and on top of that we have the equipment itself, which is going to leech 2.4% life leech per second. So you have all of that. Roughly about 8 to 9% of your attack damage will be leeched, assuming that you can get up to about 10k physical attack. That should give you a very respectable leech, let's face it. I mean, you would be getting a lot of life back very, very quickly. That is excellent. You can further improve this by going down and taking a lot of these nodes as well. You would be increasing maximum total recovered life per second and all of that. You could go down this route and take this. As I sorry guys, as I told you, you could basically get rid of one of these what do we call, yeah, you can get rid of this poison node over here. You can get rid of the you can get rid of some attack speed from here too. It's really it's your choice if you want to take it down that route. You can also get rid of the blind chance. Yeah, you can. Yeah, we have like 3 nodes over here that are attached to blind. You can actually see this if I type it in over here. So we got 8 skill points allocated to giving us massive blind chance. We got these 4 over here and these 4 over here giving us extra blind chance. So you could actually get rid of that, get 8 skill points and get some amazing life leech in if you're going down the blind bleed path of the gladiator route. If you're going down that route, this is a choice that you have in terms of buffing your build a little bit more. You could also just throw in life on hits, percentage attack, life leech gems. The choices are many. You know, you can also have mods to your equipment, allowing you to leech a lot of life back. So to quickly recap, what we have is a very strong blocking build with a very high attack speed, with the ability to leech life from all of those attacks and inflict poison damage, right? Now, speaking of attack speed, you can actually see, yeah, we have a total increase of 145%, 45 will give us 160%, yeah, about 164% with frenzy charges. That'll be 180% plus buffs on. So we may have like 200% the attack speed that we're going to be inflicting on opponents. That's going to be a lot of attacks, so 3 to 4 attacks per second, maybe more than that with the right buffs. I don't know, I'll have to take a look on the actual game day when it's launching. Yeah, to tomorrow, 1.5 days. And then the build will be able to regenerate life, it'll be able to block damage, and it will also be able to evade damage up to a certain point. Now, coming to the way that we're going to damage the enemy using Pestilence Strike. We have the 20% poison chance, which we basically saw over here. 20% chance to poison enemies on hit with attacks. We also have the 60% chance to poison on hit. That's a total of 60 plus 20, 80% chance to poison the enemies on hit with our attacks, which means every hit that we do is basically going to start proccing. It's going to start activating poison stacks on the enemies. And remember that poison basically stacks really high, right? It just keeps on stacking. It's crazy. Now, moving on to the other gems that we're going to attach over here, there's been a lot of rework that's happened in Path of Exile with regard to curses and hexes. So what we're going to be using is Superior Despair, which is a hex. It is also a curse. It curses all the targets in the area. It lowers chaos resistance, makes enemies take increased damage from ailments. It also adds chaos damage to hits against cursed enemies. Right? So we're going to have this. It's going to make enemies take more and more chaos damage, and we're going to cast this using the Superior Hex Touch Support Gem. This is basically cast curse, basically curse on hit. It's been renamed to Hex Touch Support. So what this is going to do is that if a skill hits the enemies, it will cast the supported Hex Curse on the enemies. Simple as that. There's a reduced curse duration. I'm okay with it. You will then basically get an increased effect of the supported curses, and as we hit the enemy, all the enemies around it will become vulnerable to chaos damage. That is the idea. We can also use Contagion and Withering support, so you can actually see over here, Withering support, and Contagion is like a steady sucker of life from enemies. So Chaos Physical Attack Support Duration, what this does with a lot of dexterity required is that we gain physical damage as extra chaos damage up to 29% at level 20. You can get a corrupted level 23 gem that will give you about 32%, and you also start inflicting withered on the enemies, which means they start taking a lot of chaos damage per bar. Right, 6% increased chaos damage, stacking 15 times. So essentially, at the end of stacking it on certain boss targets, you would be doing 90% bonus chaos damage. You'll be getting 30% of your physical damage as extra chaos damage, in addition to everything that Pestilence Strike already gives you. So you can add that up. You can imagine a 6-linker. So the 6-linker will have Pestilence Strike. So let's just quickly put that down in Notepad for all of us to see. Hold on. No, forget it. Let's just go Word. There's a shameless plugin for Microsoft Word, right? Let's just go ahead and do that. Why not? We'll increase... yeah, we'll do some marketing for Microsoft. Alright, here we go. So let's just increase the font size a little bit so everybody who is blind and not blind can see what I'm typing. So this will be Pestilence Strike, right? Added with Superior Hex Touch support. Huh, this is interesting. I can't capture... There's no hook for Microsoft Word? Well, that's just stupid, isn't it? That's just dumb. Okay, well then let's do it this way. Hold on guys, one moment. Yeah, we can actually do this. Yeah, that won't work. It's just, it's not very, it's not very stable. I just don't like the way that that particularly turned out, honestly. Yeah, I'm trying to, I'm trying to get all this to move together, but apparently we can't write this out for you guys over here on the screen. So how do I do this? I could just add a label and put it in. Hold on, let me see what I can do here. Text. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to start typing. It might appear on the screen, so let's basically look at this. Pestilence Strike plus yeah, Hex Touch support plus Withering Touch support, I believe. Yeah, Withering Touch. So that would be the 3, and then you would also have Despair, obviously, right? That would be 4. Now, added to this, you know, we would be putting various... I assume some good skills to boot here. Let me just see if I can... Yep, here we go. Well, interestingly, this doesn't wrap. Oh god, I hate this kind of inconvenience. Okay, so here we go. Right. There we go. Okay, this is far better. I think it's far better. Right, you can now see what I'm typing out on the chat box. Although not all of it is visible. Ah, come on. Okay, this is stupid. We're experimenting on screen with something that obviously is not working, so we're just gonna remove that. I actually want to share that with you guys. It's just difficult to do that over here in this particular fashion. Okay, since we can't do that over here immediately, I'll just point on the screen or something and we'll do it. So it's going to be a Pestilence Strike, right? Obviously, attack melee strike AoE duration and chaos. Plus, we're going to add superior Hex Touch support that allows you to trigger a particular skill on hit. Plus Despair, allowing us to pile on the chaos damage, which is what poison is when it all comes down to it. It is chaos damage. And then we're going to add Withering Touch support, because then they take even more damage from our hits as well, isn't it? So that's one of the things. So we're going to do that. And then I was really wondering, so that's 4 gems. I was wondering if for the last couple of gems whether we can cast a spell, because Contagion is an incredible skill to have when it comes to clearing. Because what it does is it starts draining enemies' lives, right? And once that drain is complete, the Contagion then spreads to other enemies. So Contagion becomes something that we can actually use so much in destroying our enemies and map clearing. I would actually love to do this. Right? I would love to do this. I would love to use Contagion. But if we are going to use Contagion, then what we will have to do is we'll have to use Cast on Critical, right? Or we'll have to use Cast on Melee Kill support. That's the only way that we can actually do that. It is a way to do it. Let's just take a look at the gems. Curse on hit is, here we go. yeah, Curse on hit is now Hex Touch support. That's already been changed, right? Now, we could use a cast when damage taken to proc Contagion, but I don't think we're going to take a lot of damage because we are going to be blocking a lot of damage. So that is a bit of a thing. We're not channeling anything, so that's the other problem. Awakened is, if you can get it, okay. If you're not going to get it, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, Awakened Hex Touch allows you to apply additional curses, but we're not going there, right? So maybe yeah, maybe we can actually use Cast on Critical Strike support, because we do have a pretty robust amount of damage, robust amount of critical, actually. If you look at this, in critical itself, we have 105 critical chance, 220%, oh, because we are dual wielding. Not a great multiplier, but that's okay, 220%, then another 20, and another, so about 350%-ish? Am I right? 220, 240, 330. 330% of critical hit chance right there. Am I correct? Yes, I am correct. Yes, 240 plus 90. 330% critical hit chance. I think we ought to be able to do a pretty nice job of smacking our enemies really, really hard with critical hits. I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. So that being said, we should be able to proc Contagion quite a few times on the enemies. One other thing that we can do is we can actually stack this with Repost. So Repost is a counterattack that triggers automatically when you block. It uses both weapons while dual wielding, cannot be used directly, right? Now one thing we can do is we can use Repost in order to trigger Contagion. That is one of the ways that could be done, because Contagion is a spell, right? So cast on critical hit. It's that simple. Must support both an attack skill and a spell skill to work, blah 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 blah. So when Repost critical hits the enemy, Contagion would be cast. So there is a little bit of a mechanic that we can use there. We can also plug it directly into Pestilent Strike and use it that way, although that does reduce the buff that we can add to chaos damage. So there are, you know, ups and downs over there. We can use the right trigger. I think it would be better to plug Contagion right into Repost, and that way it would be able to apply to all the enemies along with the poisons. I mean, that would be very interesting if we can pull that off, isn't it? And going back to, yeah, Pestilent Strike. Now what else can we do over here with regard to a 6 linker? What else can we add? Let's just take a look at Chaos Support Gems. Now we can add things like, let's see, Void Manipulation Support. Of course, Herald of Agony, I mean, goes without saying, right? DK. But we have to pick two. We have to pick two. There's nothing else we can do about it. We have to pick two. So, let's see. Added chaos damage, of course, and we'll also look at Awakened, Void Manipulation. But I think getting those gems would be very hard. Now, Void Manipulation Support adds more chaos damage straight up. Like, just straight up chaos damage. And reduced elemental damage, which we're not going to do. So chaos damage gets boosted by flat 39%. It's more right in. More is always better than increased, remember, in this game. I love coffee. Do you love coffee? I love coffee. Absolutely amazing. So, yes, so we can add extra chaos damage, so this is something that we can use. We can also add poison support, because then we again deal 40% more damage with poison specifically. Now, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. If we are going to combine poison support, or if we are going to combine lesser poison support and add chaos damage straight up, we actually do not need any of the poison skills on the tree. I know, what I'm saying is a little bit weird right now. We could refund a lot of the skills. After level 31, when you start using poison support, you could refund a lot of the poison skills on the passive skill tree and add it to evasion, to getting more defenses, getting more chaos resistance, getting XYZ, I mean, whatever it is you would like to take. That is a chance, that is a possibility that we could explore. The more damage with poison is, of course, fantastic, right? Same with lesser. Pestilence Strike has 60% chance of poison on hit, so lesser poison on support is a perfectly good thing to add. It would free up a lot. It would totally free up a lot of space on the passive skill tree, right? Plague Bearer, we'll look at Plague Bearer in a moment. Now, Agony Crawler, Herald of Agony reserves 25% mana. Grants again 20% chance to poison on hits. So that itself begs the question, do we need to use lesser poison support? But we'll get to that later. Let's see. You gain virulence when you taunt enemies, then that buffs the golem and the golem goes crazy. Basically. Yeah. That's basically what it's all about. Golem goes crazy based on how much virulence you have. Yay! So, if we use this, now forget about the virulence for a while. If we use this, we get 20% chance to poison on hits. Taken with the 60% from Plague Bearer from Pestilence Strike, that is already 80%. We don't even need lesser poison support. Now, the reason for that would be because DK itself inflicts additional chaos damage per second. I know. It is crazy, right? DK inflicts even more chaos damage per second. You can increase the duration using added duration support or something like that. There was Blight. I wanted to see if we really wanted to use this, but my answer is probably no. And then there's flat up added chaos damage support. Again, just adds more chaos damage. It just adds it right in there and allows you to do some incredible amount of damage, right? So these are all things that we can add in. We have Awakened added chaos damage support, which supports the active skill juice. It just boosts their level. Getting this is going to be a pain in the ass, because if you look at the trade, yeah, I don't know if this gem is even available, is it? No. So you're not going to be able to get it on the market unless people have a big surplus. And even then, I don't see people trying to sell this to you for peanuts. It's not going to happen, right? It's just not. So forget it.